guys, welcome back. Today I wanted to share with you some of my top tips that I've learned along the way cruising with Disney and having a child who has autism and other special needs. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Anna. Here I share all of my adventures with my two sons. One of my sons does have special needs. We have been utilizing DAS Pass in Walt Disney World, and we've also recently started cruising. I am here to share everything with you, and hopefully it helps you to have a better experience. So just to get it out of the way, if you're used to going to the Disney parks and utilizing Disability Access Service Pass, also known as DAS Pass, to reserve attractions, rides, shows, meeting characters, getting different kind of seating, none of that is available on the Disney Cruise Line. That is completely out. Though there are other accommodations here and there, and I'll tell you about all of them, but so you know, there's no Disability Access Service Pass available on the cruises. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you things that are very helpful to us and for us, and especially my son, to have the best possible experience. So the very first thing I'm gonna talk about is internet. It is very important for us to have internet. I'm okay without it. My other kid is kind of okay without it, but my son, who does have special needs, he really relies on having that internet connection and utilizing his tablet. I think many of you in this special needs community can agree, but hey, maybe you have a small kid and they're just relying on some shows that maybe you have downloaded, but you don't need internet. But in my case, for my son who's 10, he relies on the internet a lot. So we always have to purchase the internet package, and it's always the most expensive one because he wants to have access to YouTube. The next most important thing for me is to have a private table. Now, it's nothing against anybody else, it's just my preference, and it's best for my son who has special needs. So once your trip is booked, there is different tabs on the website or in the app, and you can go ahead and make like special dining requests. If you have a hard time figuring that out, you can always call Disney and put that request in with a cast member over the phone. But having a private table kind of keeps us in our own bubble, if that makes sense. But I'm sure if you have a kiddo who has a similar disability to mine, you will definitely understand that just having your own private table where it's just you guys, it's much better than sharing a table with another family. That is definitely a very important thing for me. I don't care where they sit us. Honestly, I don't care. So far, we've had very great tables pretty much at every restaurant we've been to. I mean, I'm sure there are some like really unpopular areas, but that hasn't been our experience. So having a private table is a must. Before we went on our first cruise, I wanted to know everything and anything related to the kids clubs. How I could take my son there, how I could leave him there, what kind of accommodations he's going to get there, and so on and so forth. And I'm here to tell you that your child is not getting any special accommodations there. There's not one-on-one accommodations. There's not even like 2-to-1, none of that. It's just like you bring your kid and you drop them off, and that's it. Of course, our kids have different levels of disabilities, and you might feel comfortable and your child might feel comfortable with being left alone. I know mine does, and I know I don't feel comfortable leaving my kid in the kids club. So to kind of go about this, what we do is we go to the open houses. Typically on the embarkation day, which is your first day of your cruise, I think all of them will have a couple of hours of open house, so you can go ahead and go in there with your child and experience the kid clubs to the fullest, do everything and anything they have to offer, really. But aside from that, I don't leave my child there because I know that he is like a bumblebee. That is the best way to describe him, and he just bounces around everywhere. Once he's done and he wants to leave, and I don't want to put him in any kind of situation that will stress him out, and I don't want to put such responsibility on the cast members. Though many people will say that they're trained, they know how to work with kids who have special needs. to each its own? I don't think they are, to be honest. I really don't think. Again, our kids could have very different levels of disabilities, and you have to decide for yourself. But if you don't want to leave your child there, you can visit all of the kids clubs during the open house. And that also happens throughout the cruise. There's many days, many hours where the kid clubs are open, and parents and adults and teenagers, everybody's welcome to go. So you can definitely do that. So just make sure that you're putting that as a priority on your navigator app, so then that way it's going to bump it up to you to remind you like, hey, Oceaneer Club is open from 4 to 6. So then that way you can go ahead and visit that with your child. The next thing I want to talk about is snacks. So I do understand the whole thing about having your child's favorite snacks. Trust me, I do. I know what that could lead to if those snacks are not available. So do know that you can bring factory original sealed snacks onto the cruise. So if your child likes particular cookies or candy or chips or any other snacks, as long as it's sealed in the original packaging, you can bring as much as you want. And that is exactly what I do, because my son does like his particular snack, and I just literally go to Costco and just buy boxes and I just take it with us. Because why risk it? Like, yes, the cruise might have it, but they also might not have it, and it also might be at a very expensive price. So just do yourself a favor and just take your kids' favorite snacks and just call it a day. Next thing is medication. Now, of course, nobody wants to get sick when they're traveling, especially when you're cruising, but have your child's medication that you know that your child who has special needs, who has autism or any other disability will take it. Because trying to force a different flavor of ibuprofen or Tylenol is a struggle. You know what your child likes and prefers, or tolerates, I should probably say. Bring all of that, because you never know what can happen. If your child might have a headache or a toothache or an earache, whatever it might be, whatever they take, whatever vitamins, fiber gummies, whatever it is, bring it for your child, because you rather have it and not need it than have an emergency where you need something and it's not available in that particular texture, flavor, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Just have everything. And I think that also kind of goes together with having prescription medication. I always travel with prescription medication. My pediatrician is very supportive, so she will give me antibiotics for my kid because he's prone to having ear infections and like fluid buildup when he gets sick. He has his medication, and if he does get sick and it seems like he's having that ear infection, I just give it to him and he has no problem taking it. But going to the medical office for still paying a fortune and getting different antibiotics that, one, your child might not like, two, it might not sit with their stomach, it could just be a whole mess. So be prepared and just bring everything with you, so then that way you're safe and you're secure and you're ready for anything. When we went on our very first cruise, I wanted to know what was the lock situation on the balcony door. Though I wanted to have a balcony, or a veranda I should say, and we did have it on both of our cruises, but I was still a little bit nervous, especially the first time, because I didn't know how well it locks. So we're pretty secure. I wasn't worried about it. Now, if you have a child who's curious, who has a tendency of maybe moving furniture, standing on things, I would be very cautious about that, because the balcony, you know, railing is high, but it takes nothing to move a chair and step on it. So just keep that in mind. If you don't want the veranda furniture, you can ask them to take it away. Like, that's not a problem. But if you also feel that having a balcony, though it comes with its positives, but it also comes with its negatives and extra stress, if you just want to eliminate that, then just get a different kind of cabin, maybe something with just like a large porthole. Then that way you feel more secure. Now, my son does fairly well. He actually likes to hang out by himself, and he likes to have like that, you know, like alone time, but of course I'm always like, you know, watching him. I would never leave him alone on the balcony. But if that gives you any kind of stress or anxiety, just completely skip it and just get yourself a different room category that only offers like a porthole. I know I touched on this a little bit in the beginning, saying that there's no such thing as Fast Pass on the Disney cruise, so you can't reserve a time to really meet any characters, except one. On your app, I'm not sure if it's 30 days before your cruise or maybe 60 days, something will open up. It's called Royal Gathering. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. And you can go ahead and reserve a time for you to go and meet the princesses in the main lobby. I think that's 4th floor. So typically they will have, I mean, they could have different princesses, of course, but you can, you know, maybe always call Disney and find out. But that is a great way to have a time reserved, because essentially you are picking a date and a time, and then you can go ahead and meet 3 or 4 princesses at once. So that's really nice, and I do encourage you to do that, and I definitely do that for my kids, so that way he has that time. And it all goes really quick, to be honest. But otherwise, if you want to meet characters, I would just strongly recommend for you to, again, go into your app, to your Navigator app, and see the scheduling for the characters, and whatever time they're supposed to be there, I would really encourage you to show up at least like 10 to 15 minutes before. Of course, if you have a cabin with multiple family members where, say, mom can go and hold the spot, or the dad can go and hold the spot and then call you or text you or just tell you to come back in 10-15 minutes, that's great. Our very first cruise, I was alone with my kids, so that wasn't an option. And I did actually email Disney on their special like request email, and they pretty much told me the same thing, like, hey, have your other kid just wait in line. And I was like, okay, but what if my other kid is also small? So like, there's really no accommodations, especially if you're going by yourself with your child. There's no way to hold your place in line. So I would just recommend for you to get there 15, probably good 15 minutes before. Just prioritize that early in the morning when it's still a little bit more quieter, you know, and it's a lot easier for our kiddos. Now let's talk about pools and water slides. My kid loves water slides. He loves water so much. So we have to prioritize that either on embarkation day, which is the worst because there's so much going on for us that doesn't really work. Otherwise, we have to do it early in the morning or later in the evening. I find that early morning is very nice. There is not a lot of kids, if at all, and you know, it's much easier for him. He just goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And then also in the evening, especially if you have the second dining, which is at like 8:15, 8:30, so when all the folks are leaving everything and going to their first dining, which is I think at like 5:15, 5:30, I want to say, it gets a lot emptier because everyone is starting to leave so they can go ahead and get ready for dinner. Those are the 2 times that I find to be much better for us. There is a small like splash area which is kind of like closed off. I think it's on almost all of the ship. It's for little kids, and of course my kid wants to go there, but he's big. But some of the ships have a very open splash area, so if your child likes that, they could definitely play there. And then there's usually 1 or 2 slides, which is great. Pools, hot tubs, again, it's kind of, you know, hit or miss. You have to either go when it's cold, the pools are heated of course, or early in the morning or very late in the evening. So that's kind of like what we do. I try to get it out of the way, let him go as much as we can so he really enjoys it, so he really gets tired, and then, you know, maybe he doesn't ask for it as much later on. And speaking of dining, you are able to pick from early dining and later dining. Usually it will always give you, when you book your cruise, I think that's what I've had experience with, it's always giving you the later dining, which is 8:15. But if you prefer the earlier, and if it's not available, you can go ahead and request that, put yourself like on a waiting list, and if it's still not available when you do get to the cruise, you can go ahead and ask for that. My priority with my son who has special needs is to go to a later dining because it's more quieter. in a way, because there's less little kids. A lot of families who have small children typically will go to the first one, so we just go to the second one. That is our favorite time to go. Also, definitely speak to your wait staff, your head server, about any accommodations that you might need. It's going to make your trip a lot easier and smoother, though please know that the first day, the first time you meet your wait staff, it's probably going to be chaotic. And if you do need some major accommodations when it comes to food, it might not be all available, but the following night they're going to have everything that you need. So speak up. If your kid wants to interact with them, great. If your child doesn't want them to do any tricks or talk about any jokes or anything like that, you can go ahead and tell them, just like, listen, like, it's just not happening here. And they are very, very understanding. Also know that some, of course, restaurants, if not most, have shows associated with the dinner, right? So it's like a dinner on a show, whether it's on a stage and they're performing or interacting with the crowd, or it's on screens. If you don't want to be there for the whole time, you don't have to. So you can just pick up and leave. If your child doesn't want to go to the restaurant, you can go ahead, order your dinner. Literally, you can go there, order your dinner and take it back to your room. You can go there and just have desserts. You can go there and just have appetizers. Like, you don't have to be there for the hour or hour and a half or even 2 hours if it is hard for your child. So definitely know that you have options. And of course, you also have room service. So if you just rather order room service, then that's what you do. Whatever you need, just for you to have an easier time and for your child to have the best possible experience. And when it comes to watching movies or some of their Broadway shows that they offer on the cruise, I would always recommend sitting somewhere maybe a little bit higher, closer to the exit, and somewhere in the aisle seat where it's easier for you to leave if you need to, if your child is having a hard time, or if your child just needs to, you know, run the hall and come back. I would definitely always recommend that. Of course, you can also bring popcorn and, you know, other snacks. I don't think you could use your iPad, especially during the Broadway style shows, because it's very secretive over there. You cannot have your phone, you can't record, you can't do nothing. So I think if your child was to use a tablet during a show like that, maybe it would be okay, but I think they would probably ask you to put it away. As far as going on excursions, you know your child well. When we went, I booked things that I knew my child will be in one way or another content. He had his tablets, he had his chargers, he had his snacks and drinks, and he was just a happy little boy sitting there. Like when we did a train tour in Alaska, or when we did a bus tour in Canada, he did fine. But again, I'm not gonna put him into crazy, you know, excursions where he's going to be unhappy. So I think that's about it. Again, you know, just have everything ready for you. We also always travel with extra portable chargers, and he has 2 iPads, so we typically use one, and then he has one for a backup, just in case if it breaks, just in case if it's lost, just in case if the screen gets cracked, because trust me, we've been there, we've done that multiple times. So that's pretty much it. Is Disney Cruise Line great? Do I feel safe there with my kid? Yeah. I think after doing a lot of research, I felt most comfortable doing a Disney cruise versus anything else, considering that my child does have special needs. But am I gonna sit here and say that every Disney cast member is trained in all of these special needs, you know, hidden disabilities, visible? No, they're not. So I think you also have to set your expectation, you know, at a right level, and I think you have to be vocal, advocate for your child or for yourself about what you need and what would help you, and not assume that people know or understand or whatever, because if we don't tell them, how do they know, if you have a disability that's not easily visible? Definitely speak to everyone. You know, you speak to your room host, speak to your dining crew, let them know of everything that would help you have the best possible experience. All right, I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any other questions, leave them down in the comment below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.